Okay? So we're starting with A Quiet Place. Self-admitted, ain't watched it. I have not watched it. So I have to leave that off the list. Horror stories. I mean, you know. Have I seen Alligator? I have not. I say that I probably have seen it. I think it was been on TV back when I was a child. Probably have watched it at some point, but I couldn't remember enough about it to tell you anything. OG Amityville horror. Ooh, this is gonna be a toughie for me. Because I know we've got the movie that's supposedly based on true events, and I'm air quoting that where y'all can't see me, but hopefully my tone gave it away. Oh, God, I'm torn on this. Because the movie is based on these quote unquote true events, as corroborated by the fucking Warrens. Y'all know me, I don't like. Nothing against Lorraine. Lorraine seemed like a sweet lady, but I do not like what they did with paranormal research or whatever you want to call it. I'm into ghosty shit. I like my ghosty shit. But unfortunately, people like them tainted it so that it's just not. It's not. So the movie's fine. It spawned a whole thing, of course. Like people flocked to the house, people threw rocks at the house. It became a whole mess. And none of it was true. So do I take that into consideration when I'm talking about the movie? Because it's an okay movie. The remake with Ryan Reynolds ain't great. I'm gonna say it's a B. For some people, it might be an A, but I can't. I'll give it kudos for being decent horror for sure. But I can, in good faith, basically be like, yeah, I'm giving this movie extra kudos. That. I know. No. No. Can't do it. Cannot do it. American Werewolf in London. We're going S tier, y'all. And it would be S tier alone, strictly for the effects and especially for the werewolf transformation. That thing was amazing. It was wonderful. So, very strong S tier on that one, mainly because it was doing shit that was just absolutely astounding for its time. Then they made a horrible sequel. Seems to be a trend in horror. You have a really great first movie, has all these wonderful effects. The sequel, not so much. Um, what is this one? Anaconda. Oh, Jesus, it's a creature feature. Aren't they remaking this movie? And isn't it with Jack Black? Yeah. They remade it in 2025 with Jack Black. I haven't seen that version. I kind of want to, I'm not gonna lie. But I haven't seen it. This is the JLo version. It's got a terrible CG snake. It's not a great movie. That's why when they said they were making a remake, I was like, huh? I get it. There's a meta behind the remake, but the first one, the original, not great, y'all. It got notoriety for some reason. Probably just because it's a big creature feature. People love their giant critters. For me, C tier. It's it's one of those that it's bad and some people have appreciated it for its bad, but it's not the kind of bad I appreciate. It's gonna be low for me. Yeah. And for me, that's fine because they know what the hell they're doing. They get it. Anaconda was not getting it. It was trying to do something that didn't work. Next up is the Babadook. The Babadook. A metaphorical film. It's got a lot going for it. It's dark in theme, but it's a parallel, like, with the whole idea of the Babadook and what this woman is going through in like her real life. This is an A tier for me. I haven't watched it more than a couple of times. Again, some of it's kind of dark, heavier topic type of situation that is I have to be in the right headspace for. But I do very much like the Babadook. Interesting looking thing. Kind of a unique look. Although, kind of gives London After Midnight vibes with the whole shoulders thing. Like, when I look at that, I do kind of think of, for some reason, Lon Chaney. Don't ask. But I like it. I think it's a good movie. Definitely worthy of some praise. And again, a lot of people may not have watched it, but they know what the fuck the Babadook is. That says a lot. Haven't watched Bad Taste. I've only seen a portion of that. I haven't watched Basket Case all the way through. So I don't feel it's fair that I judge it, although I would say, for effects again, practical effects for most of the movie puts it pretty high in my opinion, but I don't feel comfortable considering, others I remember watching, but I remember jack shit. I have not added on there. If I can remember something, it's worth it, but I haven't finished Basket Case, so I can't really say. I have not watched The Beyond. We've got Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds. This is a very early movie for me. That's what I cut. That is literally what I started cutting my teeth on. Was the Alfred Hitchcock movies, Alfred Hitchcock Presents, the TV show, Twilight Zone, and Outer Limits, and then House of Wax and House on Haunted Hill when it would come on TV, and Jaws. Those were my and Poltergeist. Sorry, that was my core like set of horror when I was really little. Um, is Alfred Hitchcock? We know he was not necessarily the best person in the world. He tormented his lead actresses, but he got a hell of a performance out of them from it. Again, we're talking about one a lot of people. I mean, today you see people who may not even watch the movie but know about it will see a large flock of birds and be like, "Oh my god," is this the birds? Like they have that reaction. It's just it's out there. And just the idea of it is fucked up. I remember watching it as a kid and it wasn't really edited that much for TV. I just remember the old dude that had his eyeballs pecked out. That scene always stuck with me because that was fucked up. I remember he's wearing overalls and he's slumped against the wall or the stove or something and his eyeballs are gone. I would probably say it's gonna be A, but it's gonna be a low A because there's gonna be plenty of stuff that goes in front of it, but it's up there for sure. Cabin in the Woods. This is one of those that knows what it's doing. Is gonna be stupid horror, as I like to call it, where it's a meta horror where nothing is quite what it seems, and they're trying to do tongue in cheek, but it's not as well executed as some other movies to me. It's gonna it's gonna be B tier. It's not my cup of tea. I don't know. I appreciate people's love of it because it kind of was newer. It was more fresh at the time that it came out compared to where we were. It's just, I don't know. I won't seek it out. And if it's on, I might actually turn it off. Ooh, Candyman is next. OG Candyman is next. Okay. So this is also based off of a novella, I believe, by Clive Barker. I have read it. What is it called? I don't remember what it's called at the moment, but I definitely read it. It does obviously deviate a pretty good chunk from the novella, but I appreciate them both for what they are. Yeah, essentially Yoshi, but again, the way they played it off, I get it. I get it. So it gets its props. Candyman. Candyman. We have a Raimi in it, which is interesting. I forget which one, but we have a Raimi. I think it's Sam. If I remember right, I think it's Sam Raimi that's in it. He's in the opening. And we have Tony Todd. May he rest. As a really good horror icon. And Candyman became an icon. Like, we all knew about Bloody Mary. And that was one, a lot of, well, I say that. I'm old. But I knew about Bloody Mary as a kid. Then Candyman came around. And it's the same vein. You know, say the name 3 times in the mirror, something bad will happen. Instead of being a witch woman trying to claw your face off, it's a man with a hook for a hand that will split you from your groin to your gullet. I will quote the shit out of this movie to this day. I watched it young. I probably shouldn't have. My first time watching it was on TBS, so it was censored. And then I got the VHS of it and watched the shit out of it. I love Tony Todd. I thought he was great. The fact they actually filmed at Cabrini Green is crazy. If you haven't read about that, I would suggest reading about that. That was a kind of a big deal and just absolutely insane. But they did it because they wanted the realism of it, and they got it. Uh, and then Tony Todd's infamous, what was it? Every bee sting he'd receive $1,000 to his payment, and he wound up getting like an extra what, $30,000 or something because he was covered in real bees. He had real bees in his mouth. Like that's just, ooh. I'm not even squeamish about bees, but just the idea of that's just no, thank you. But is it good enough for S tier? I think it probably is, honestly. For me, it's an S tier movie. Also, when I babysat way back in the day, the kids I babysat were allowed to watch horror movies. Like, I had no limits on what I could do. Well, obviously, some within reason. But I had told them about this movie and they wanted to watch it, so I brought it over. Yeah, I didn't get in trouble because again, I was never told they couldn't watch horror, like R-rated horror, because they had some. But I had a note waiting for me the next morning, basically telling me not to do that again because apparently they want. I think what made it worse, other than watching the movie, is one of their friends came over and she had watched the movie. She had no cares about it, but she was like, "Hey, we should do that." And so the three of them wound up doing Candyman in the downstairs bathroom. I was outside because I just wanted to make sure nothing happened, or if something happened, I had access to a phone because this was before cell phones were regular. I didn't have no cell phone. I had to be able to reach the landline. Uh, so I wanted to make sure I could get to the landline and nothing stupid would happen. Yeah, we did that. So I think that's really what caused it. But they want to sleep in their parents' beds that night. Oops. I think the movie would have been fine except for that part. I shouldn't have let them know that part. Anywho, but that's my story, and I love Candyman. I've always loved Candyman, the first one. Love Tony Todd, so it's gonna be S tier. Carrie, OG Carrie, not a favorite for sure. Piper Laurie does I think like I know Carrie's your titular character and everything, and has all the pyrotechnics, pyrokinesis, whatever. But Piper Laurie as the mom really and truly is what makes this movie just raise up a level, I think. It's she's batshit, like absolute batshit, and she does such a good job with it. But it's also not like the best movie either. Hell, Stephen King didn't even want to finish writing the book. He threw it away because he was like, I don't know how I can write about teenage girls and their periods because obviously he'd never lived it. And his wife, Tabitha, found the manuscript, read through it, and told him he needed to finish it. And lo and behold, we get Carrie. Sissy Spacek's fine. Again, her. It, mm, um, it's gonna be low B. It'll be a low B. It'll be B tier because again, the whole prom night blood thing, the the still shot of her with the blood on her, with the fire going, you see that a lot. You see that spoofed a lot. Granted, most people don't use blood; they're using um other material, but it's still spoofed. So it's made its mark, but I don't find it as being one of the best movies for sure. So I think we're gonna leave it there. Next one is Cat People. I know I've seen at least part of it. I don't think I've ever finished it, so I can't, again, in good faith, I can't say I'm gonna put that up there. But I have seen part of it. It's a little weird, not gonna lie. That might be why I checked out. Next, Children of the Corn, the first one. High B tier. Again, it is a King adaptation. I have read the King adaptation, or excuse me, read the original story. It's fine. Again, it's one of those where I think a lot of people do know about that. You know, He Who Walks Behind the Rose. The actor they got for Isaac is very iconic. The one they got for is it Jedediah? Is that the right kid? The tall ginger kid. He became really well known. He wound up getting more parts because of this movie, I think, because we wound up seeing him in more stuff after this. And the person who plays Isaac shows up a lot because he's got some sort of syndrome, I think, or something that kept him looking that small and everything. The first one, everybody kind of has an idea. Again, it is spoofed a lot. South Park has their variation of it in the before times, in the long, long ago. And, you know, people got to do Caravel or what the fuck ever, but it's very clearly based on Children of the Corn. And I mean, it's just a story about what happens if a bunch of kids become religious zealots and overtake all the adults in the town. It's a hell of a premise, for sure. And all the kid actors do a good job. Again, it gives us a lot of memorable stuff. A lot of people, again, having not even seen this, know enough from the parodies and the spoofs to know what it is and to quote it even, because we still hear that. So I think it's gonna have to be B. I don't think it's quite good enough to get to A. If it could potentially, we'll have to see what else shows up. If it does, it's a low A. But I feel like it's definitely for a very high B for now. But I'm torn. I am really torn between high A, low B. You know what? No, we're gonna go low A. We're gonna go low A. Color Out of Space. It's a Nick Cage movie. We get a Nick Cage freak out in a car. We get a hell of a fucking llama blob. Or, excuse me, alpaca blob. It's Lovecraftian, obviously. I like Lovecraft's works. I know he was a bigot. He recanted a lot of his stuff when he got older. I have a Cthulhu tattoo. I like Eldritch horror. Something about it just it tickles my brain. I love it. Probably because I like the whole idea of like things beyond time and reason that, looking upon it will make you lose your brain. Cosmic horror, love that stuff. And I love space, so it all kind of works out. I really like Color Out of Space. It's bizarre. Again, it's Nick Cage doing Nick Cagey shit, and I adore that. It's a high A. I don't think it's quite S. It is definitely high A though. For sure. The ending's a little questionable. That I think at that the ending I was like, all right. And that was it. But it's got some really good body horror towards kind of the last third of the movie. Not gonna lie. Little disturbing. Outside of the alpaca blob. It does have some really good body horror. So yeah, it's definitely a top level A. I just don't think it quite has the push to get to S. The Conjuring. Oh, this might make some people mad. Because this apparently became listed as the scariest movie of all time in recent times. People move from The Exorcist to this movie, and I don't understand it. I don't understand it. I don't understand people's obsession with how scary the Conjuring movies are. Again, it's Ed and Ray Warren. That already throws a lot of questions into the mix. There's a lot of falsities in this movie, mainly centering around Bathsheba. And I don't like that it be smeared, it was a smear campaign on this woman who existed, who can't even defend herself. She was real. She wasn't a witch. She wasn't anything what this movie made her turn out to be. And her grave actually does exist and has been vandalized because of this movie. But she was not what this movie made her out to be, and I think that's such bullshit. I don't know. A lot of people are probably not going to be happy with my choice on this. It's got good effects. They do some creepy stuff. We're not going to talk about the fucking Annabelle doll. That's a whole goddamn thing. But I don't know. I don't like anything about the Warrens. There's lots of people who talk about just how bad it was and things like that. But I knew how bad it was before. So, not really into that. Duna Lorraine is in this movie. She makes a little cameo, which is cute. But, and of course, it is Patrick Wilson again. Telling you, this man was in everything for a short period of time. But I cannot put it in A at all. I will give it its dues. I can understand why people would be kind of scared of it. It is a possession movie. For being a Warren associated storyline, it is better than Amityville. I have to give it that. And of course, it's a James Wan movie. What you gonna do? Man knows how to shoot a movie. Can't argue with it. So we're gonna go with that. Also, a very young Joey King is in that movie, and it's very odd. Have not seen Crawl. I know that's a creature movie. Haven't seen The Crazies. Not from what I've seen, it's not going to be my cup of tea. Anyway, we're going to an old classic, Creature of the Black Lagoon. I mean, it's Creature from the Black Lagoon. We know what that is. It's like, it's one of those. It's one of the Universal monsters. You've seen it. You may not have seen the movie, but you know what the fuck it is. It has its credits. It has to go into B. And water creatures are just usually interesting anyway. Darkness Falls. I saw this in theaters, y'all. What year was that? I'm about to 2003. I was still in fucking high school. I was a junior. Or maybe or was it my senior part? It may have been my senior part of 2003 because I graduated in 04. So yeah, it's about a ghost lady. They call her the Tooth Fairy. It's not a good movie. It's not that good of a movie. It's got a couple moments in it, but it's really not good. I remember trying to watch it again, like maybe a couple years ago. I tuned out. I wound up doing shit on my phone, and then I looked up on certain parts where I remembered, things happened. I'm like, oh yeah, that did happen. And then I went back to whatever it was I was doing. So we're probably gonna say that's a C tier, to be honest. So this is the Dawn of the Dead remake. And this is the original Dawn of the Dead. Original Dawn of the Dead, we go on high here. Yeah. It's not quite Day of the Dead, but it's gonna be higher. Maybe here. The remake would be a very low B. I'm just not a fan of it, but it's one of the Dead movies. It's okay for a remake. Do I think they needed to remake it? Fucking no. But it's shot well, looks good. Can't really argue with it. But Dawn of the Dead, pretty good. Hey, Kenny. The original? We'll go with an original. Dead Alive. Oh, okay. Yeah. So this one all has an alternate title that I think was in America called, or is Dead Alive the American version? I don't remember. But it's got an alternate title called Brain Dead. It's a horror comedy. It's pretty fucking gory, I'm not gonna lie. And I did watch it, and the reason I watched it is because it was done by Peter Jackson. You know, the man who is behind Lord of the Rings, right? So I did wind up watching it. Again, it's not really my thing. It was really gory, but that's the point. Like, that's the point of the movie. Yeah, I was supposed to say, I think Dead Alive may have been our title, but I know it was Brain Dead was the original, I think. It's not my thing, but I did appreciate it in a very weird way because, again, it is horror comedy. And the comedy bits did hit. I actually did appreciate that portion. It would be a low B, just because I don't like the gore. I don't like over-the-top gore, and that kind of detracted from it. But otherwise, yeah, not too bad. Dead Silence. So this is one maybe a lot of people don't know about. This is also a James Wan movie. It's kind of a one-off. It has which Wahlberg? Donnie, I think. Has Donnie Wahlberg in it. It's about a ventriloquist. It's got a twist at the end. It's not a great movie. I liked it. I think I saw it in theaters, and then I owned it. I think I still own it. But it's not good, and you can kind of see the twist coming. Ugh. It's one of those that I enjoy, but honestly, I shouldn't. It's that guilty pleasure aspect of it. It's like a high C, low B. It's teetering a line here. Because it's one of those where I'll tune in periodically when I have it on because I know where to tune in and then I tune back out. Because, yeah, it has some really low times. Dracula. Do we or do we not take into consideration the really terrible accent from Keanu Reeves? So this is an interesting version of Dracula. A lot of people don't like Dracula's hair. I mean, it was a design, but all told, oh God, have you seen they're remaking Dracula again? And it's very much in line with this version, and I'm like, oh, that's probably not a smart idea. But you got Keanu Reeves with a bad accent. You got Gary Oldman doing a wonderful Dracula. His more modern. Is that what it's called? I don't know. We saw the preview for it when we went to go see Silent Hill. And we both were sitting there like, are they, what the fuck are they doing to Dracula? Because they definitely are leaning heavily on this version for what they're doing. Because they try and do like the whole battle showing it was, he was Romanian, essentially. And then the whole thing with the spouse, the wife, blah, 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 blah. But this one's good. It's got video games that are not good. The set pieces are really good. Yeah, I think it could be S tier. I think it did a good job bringing Dracula. I do want to demote some points because again, Keanu's accent is so bad. And he knows it. He's admitted it. But yeah, I think it earned its place. It took the Dracula story, kind of brought it back to its original roots, if you know about Vlad the Impaler and all of that, because that's where it's basically coming from. And then you fold that into the actual Dracula lore and all that. And I think it does a good job. Drag Me to Hell? Sorry. I have tried no less than 2 to 3 times to watch this movie. I have fallen asleep during it every single fucking time. I remember at one point I had to ask Nub because I'm like, did I watch this? It seems familiar. He's like, yeah, I turned it on and you fell asleep. So I tried to watch it again. I fell asleep probably right around the same point. I don't know, man. And it's not a comfort sleep. It bored me. I don't understand why my brain works the way it is, but yeah, I've yet to get through this movie. Eraserhead. It's David Lynch. Fucking weird. It'll give you nightmares. It's S tier. I mean, this again has spawned a lot of stuff. A lot of people know what it is without watching it. And let's be fair, the PT baby very much was inspired by the Eraserhead baby. Let's not argue this point. We know is true. And it's just that surrealist, crazy, makes you lose your mind type of movie. Do I like the baby sounds? No. You know me, I don't like baby noises. But it's fucked up in the best way possible, so S tier. Event Horizon. This will probably be one. Because I know a lot of people aren't going to agree with this. It is not A tier. Or S tier. It's A tier for me. Is it the best movie? No. I don't know. I didn't make it. They had to cut a lot out of this movie, unfortunately, to get a rating that they could actually play it. A lot of the hell sequences were cut out, and the ones that remained kind of give you an idea of what the fuck we were looking at, and it's messed up. Uh, Sam Neill does a wonderful job. Larry Fishburne does a wonderful job. I love both of those guys as actors. Just the idea behind it, the line where we're going, we won't need eyes to see. Hell, we get the power core, the black hole maker. We get that in Silent Hill 4. Like, there's no if, ands, or buts about it. That is the fucking thing that will chew up Eileen at the very end of the game. That's all it is. Like, it had some impact somewhere with somebody. Like I said, it's not the best movie. It's a space movie about, a ship that has now come to life because it passed through something that we don't know what the fuck it was, but it could only be equated to hell. Like I said, a lot of it had to be cut because they wanted each crew member to kind of have a moment of fear, like showing them something. It was a fear of theirs uh, before it killed them. The mom has the child that has the legs. You get to see the maggot legs. Um, the doctor was supposed to be a really good one because he's got a huge scar on his chest that you see, and that was supposed to lead into it. He's afraid of being cut because of that, and then he winds up, being flayed open. We know Larry's because he mentions that with the crew member that burned to death, and then, he sees them later, hears them yelling. So each of the crew members was supposed to have, something brought up as a part of it because, again, it's supposed to be hell, right? Sam Neill, again, great performance with kind of that descent into that madness, which is funny because then he does In the Mouth of Madness, where he kind of does the same thing. Anywho, um, a lot of people don't like it. It's done by Paul W.S. Anderson, who first should have been known for the Mortal Kombat movie, which if you watch Mortal Kombat and then Event Horizon, he uses the exact same ice effect for frozen bodies from MK into Event Horizon. But of course, most people later know him for Resident Evil and those movies. But this is kind of where he got going. The turnaround time on Event Horizon was extremely limited. The budget was limited. It's crazy. For all the hardship that movie went through, I think it came out pretty good. Again, it's a weird space movie. I liked it. It's a top one. I watch it a lot. A lot, a lot. Oh, very nice. We're gonna go see that at some point. We Not this weekend. One, it's gross outside, and two, it's Mother's Day on Sunday, and we got to spend tomorrow cleaning up and prepping food. Um, but we do plan to go see it. It looks fun. Evil Dead. That's S tier. Another one of those. It made a lot of people. I don't think we would have known who Bruce Campbell was if it wasn't for this. It got Raimi on the map for his movies. It got Bruce Campbell on the map for doing this. I just feel like if we hadn't had this particular movie at this particular time, we wouldn't have gotten a lot of the other stuff we've got. Now, to this day, do I think they're running this title into the ground? Yes, I fucking do. But the first one and the second one in Army of Darkness, you know what? That trilogy is fine. I don't like where they're going now, but I don't have to watch them. But the first one definitely holds up on a creepy factor, also on a weird, goofy factor, but that's accountable to Raimi doing Raimi things. So it's S tier for sure. Again, a lot of spoofing, a lot of callbacks that you see for this movie. The Fog. Admittedly, haven't watched The Fog, so we'll have to leave that one off. Boris Karloff. Boris Karloff's Frankenstein. Again, it's gonna be B tier. Classic Universal monster. Probably more well known than the creature from the Black Lagoon. The makeup it's copyrighted. It's trademarked. Nobody else can use that makeup. You can do something similar, but you cannot use that iconic makeup, and I have to use that word because of it's the look. Universal set that standard for a lot of creatures moving forward. They gave us the look, sometimes the sound that That's the first thing everybody's brain goes to. And Boris Karloff in the obviously supposed to be green makeup with the bolts and the stitches and the square skull, the yeah, and the platform shoes with the bulky walk. That is where your brain goes. Unless you're a big Mel Brooks fan, then it might go to Young Frankenstein. I'm not sure. But that is quintessential horror. It paved a lot of roads for people and also became very much a spoofed type of situation. So it's not going to be for everybody again. Not everybody likes the black and whites. They don't like the slow original movies, but it's earned its props and it has to be listed in at least B tier. The original Friday the 13th. It's A tier. It's definitely A tier. It'll probably go right about here. It's not S tier. I don't think I can put in a slasher film into S tier per se. They all have little things about them that probably keep them out of it. But we do have a very young Kevin Bacon kind of doing his first big movie. We we don't get who we want as our killer just yet. So this one, hopefully it's not a spoiler, but spoiler, it's not Jason Voorhees that's killing folks. And it is low-key a Mother's Day movie. So appropriate. It's his mom. It's his mom going around killing people, which is kind of scarier in a way because, I mean, she was doing some heinous shit, man. She had some strength behind her. That's fucked up. But, storyline is she worked at the camp, her child went to the camp, he drowned because the teenagers who were supposed to be watching were making out, so she just holds a vendetta against teenagers who work at the camp. And it comes up the anniversary, they're trying to reopen the camp. She doesn't want that, so she goes around and kills people. Then you do get the ending jump scare of was that real or was that not, of a child Jason dragging the main character underwater after she thinks she survives and then she wakes up. Was it actually a dream? Was it real? We don't know. And then from there, they spawned a whole bunch of sequels wherein it was a now grown-up Jason Voorhees somehow that now just kills. Now, granted, they're good. Some of them are entertaining movies, but it's just weird. But if we don't get the first one, we don't get the others. So, and I watched it young. I do watch it a lot. It's gonna be what it's gonna be. Yeah, the second one's where we have the burlap sack. We finally start getting the mask, and then we get different variations of the mask throughout all of them. We also get our Kane Hodder, where people started catching on about Kane Hodder. He'd done other stuff before. But his ability to turn Jason into that slow breathing, deep breathing, shoulder moving, that look, that menacing feel. He brought that to life. So and then it got all tied up into the nasty rights bullshit that finally just recently got sorted. But that was a whole nightmare. That's why you went from having Friday the 13th movies to Jason Goes to Hell and Jason X, because they couldn't use Friday the 13th anymore. Isn't it great when that happens? Fright Night, another one I haven't watched all the way through, so I'm not going to say it's fair for me to put it up, because I haven't finished it. From Dusk Till Dawn. Where do we want to put this? It's Tarantino. That put some people off. I know a lot of people don't like Tarantino for some reason. Don't like his movies. That's fair. You do have Salma Hayek dancing very sexily with a very sleepy snake. Yeah, apparently the snake would fall asleep while she was holding it, and they didn't like that, but it just found her relaxing. Wherein we do really discover about Quentin Tarantino's foot fetish for sure. Got a, interesting George Clooney. And we get Tom Savini with the dick gun. And it's vampires, It follows Tarantino's typical style for film. Again, that could be a downgrade for some people. For me, I like watching Tarantino. So I'm okay with it. It's an entertaining movie. It's 100% very entertaining. It's an A. It's definitely an A. For sure. It's got the dialogue you expect from a Tarantino movie, the pace of the dialogue that you expect from a Tarantino movie. So if you like Tarantino, expect Tarantino. Yeah, I mean, he is just in it like he was with a lot of his earlier stuff. And like I said, you really get to see his foot fetish on full display. But it's worth it. I feel like it's one of those you probably should see this movies. Yeah. I haven't seen Green Room. The United States remake of The Grudge. I don't think it's as good. I don't think it's as good as the United States remake of The Ring, to be honest with you. I feel like it's a lesser one. I think at that point, the people over here, was it? I'll have to check it out then. I think people over here realized, oh, The Ring made a lot of money. People really seem to enjoy that. Well, what's another like Japanese IP we can grab and turn into watered down American versions? And then it was Ju-on. There we go. There's the word I was looking for earlier. I'm like, there is a title. Just let me start rambling. Things start coming out of my mouth and it makes sense. I mean, it's still okay. I think it's probably still going to be a B movie for me. Just because the Japanese version was better. Sorry. Not sorry. Not sorry at all. We know that's superior. And again, I think it was more of a cash grab because they realized that this was a hot ticket at the moment. Is that the Fog remake? I think so, but I haven't seen either one of them. So, Halloween. This is the one that if a slasher film is gonna go S tier, it's gonna be Halloween. Mainly because if we don't get Halloween, we don't get a lot of other slasher films. Like this is the granddaddy. This is where we start. You have it's gotta be S tier. You don't get Michael Myers as a slasher. You don't then develop a Jason Voorhees because Jason Voorhees was a direct response to that idea of Michael Myers. And from there it just keeps building. I don't know if we would have gotten Freddy if we hadn't gotten the other two, Everybody was a stepping stone, but Halloween really and truly is where we have to go to to the start. You get that music. That music is used everywhere and people just know what it is. Do I like the new ones? We're not going to talk about that. But I'll watch the original. I love the original. You want a weird piece of trivia? Here's a weird piece of trivia. So, the movie was not filmed in the Midwest. It was filmed out in California. And of course, there's no fall. It wasn't even in fall. There was no fall leaves everywhere. So they had to bring in leaves to, place around or whatever. One of the people whose job it was to place the leaves randomly around for scenes was Robert Englund. Robert Englund had a job on the set of the original Halloween spreading leaves around. Is that not just like the craziest shit to think about? Anywho, Haven't seen this one. Haunting in Connecticut. So, seen this movie, quote unquote, based on true events. Is this the sequel? I think this is a sequel to something. Or is this the original and then there was a sequel? Either way, there's like a whole series of it. But this one, like I said, it's supposed to be based around a true story. Ha ha ha. Eh. Eh. If you want kind of a similar vibe, because it, I don't know. It's not good. There are probably some people who say it is. It's not to me. And again, it's one of those. It says it's based around a true story. It's not. It's just not. Again, I'm into ghosty shit, but I will admit when something's just dumb. But it's going high C. Not doing it. The original Hills Have Eyes. That was on the last one. It's fine. Again, it's one of those where it's like, again, it's Wes Craven. This is back when he was in some sort of a weird spot where he just did a bunch of like highly brutal movies, especially towards women for some reason. He technically, I guess you could say he didn't really get away with that with Freddy, but this is a weird point in his life between this and Last House on the Left. These aren't really my favorites of his. So again, clearly it got a remake. You do see spoofs and stuff of it because of the material that it is. And a lot of people do like it. It's not my thing, but I get it. I don't think it's quite C level. If it is, it might be a really super high C. But for now, I'm going to keep it low B. Haven't watched His House. It's a Netflix movie. I refuse to watch Hostel. Again, that's Eli Roth. It's one of them damn torture porn motherfuckers. Have I watched the Saw movies? Yes, that's about the limit I'll take. And that's only because I already own them. I don't care to watch Hostel. That is just not my thing. Do I know that it was clearly an inspiration for Silent Hill Homecoming? Of course I do. I'm married to the Silent Hill expert. Of course I know that. But yeah, it's not my cup of tea. Will never be my cup of tea. I will never voluntarily watch it. The House of the Devil. I have watched this. Do I remember a whole hell of a lot about it? Not particularly. But it's not a bad movie. I would probably say if you want something that's not like super invasive and loud, this is a good one to have. It's kind of got that culty feel to it, Satanistic type of feel. So I do recommend House of the Devil. It's not bad. So I'm not going to try and spoil it, but obviously I can't spoil that it's like Satanistic type shit because look at what it says and look at what it looks like. But I would say watch it. House of Wax, that's the remake. God, if I could put a D on the, or an F on the remake, I would. The original's good. Original's got Vincent in it, of course. I would rate the original much higher, but fuck this one. Moving on. Hey, Maria. I'm doing well. Been a hot minute. Hope you are too. I know what you did last summer. Again, this is a very specific point in time for horror movies where they all look alike. They all kind of do the same thing, and they all start running together. You always have these interesting casts. Now, I will say, I know what you did last summer probably had the best of the casts of this time. Ah, damn. Very nice. I've been missing from the streaming world for a couple of years, so. Yeah, and this poster was kind of the it post. It poster, the In poster. So, it'll be B. It'll be a B tier. Again, this was a very specific point in horror movie time. I was not as familiar with this one as I was Urban Legend. I was more familiar with that one, but again, they all kind of remind you of each other because that's what they did. That was the look. I haven't seen I Saw the Devil, so I can't speak on that. I have not watched I Spit on Your Grave. That one just gives me kind of a general ick because of the premise. You'll forgive me on that one. In the Mouth of Madness. This is going to go up here. Actually, it's going to go ahead of Event Horizon. So In the Mouth of Madness is a John Carpenter film. Not one a lot of people actually talk about. It's Sam Neill again. And I'm waiting for Yosh. I'm waiting on Yosh because he does it every time I've mentioned this movie. But Sam Neill's a lawyer. He is trying to locate a publisher's star writer who has gone missing. And it's very Lovecraftian. It's very Eldritch horror, which is probably why I really am drawn to that. But the question always is, do you read Sutter Kane, which is Stephen King? That's who they're talking about. And basically, if you've read Sutter Kane's books, you're being influenced in a way. And Sam Neill's character goes to the last place this guy was seen, which was in this village, and weird shit is happening. Like, really weird shit is happening. And he basically, it's like a slow descent into madness for him. Yes, he outsells Stephen King, but that's where the name comes from. I recommend the movie. I do. I said it's not one that you hear a lot of people talk about from Carpenter for very good reason. There's other movies that 100% placed much higher than it from Carpenter. We've already got one on here. But it's so good. It's so strange. And if you like that eldritch horror type of situation, definitely for you. And again, Sam Neill does wonders. He was in his hot spot around this time period. Because there's Event Horizon. Of course, we got into Jurassic Park. So he was in his prime, which also he just announced not long ago he's cancer free. So that was fucking awesome. Always good to have like positive news about, especially about actors that seem to be decent folk that we grew up with, especially. Yeah, see that whole scene's the reason I don't want to watch it. Just a me issue. I get it's a revenge movie, but just not my thing. Have not seen The Innkeepers. I probably should. I've heard good things about it. As far as like what it does. I don't know how I'll feel though. The original made for TV movie It. We had this discussion. I'm not putting it in C. I'm just getting it where we can see it so I can scroll back up. So, where do we want to put this bad boy? It automatically gets high points because Tim fucking Curry. Sorry. Tim Curry's in a movie. It's automatically going to be pretty high up just to start. Again, does it follow the book? Not really. They do a better job with Pennywise, I think. It's hard to base and especially compare it because it was made for TV. Keep that in mind, which means a lot of stuff had to be downplayed anyway. But it is the one that most everybody became associated it with. People were saying we all float down here before the remake, okay? That's because this existed first. I'm going to put it at a high B, I think. It's not going to be A material. Even when I take it into consideration that it's a made-for-TV movie, it can't reach A material. God, Kenny, please go watch. You're not gonna probably like it that well because it's made for TV. You can tell. You can tell it's made for TV. It has a lot of very well-known 90s, late 80s, early 90s actors in it, which, being an old motherfucker like me, even kid me recognized a lot of them. So, yeah, but Tim Curry, if it weren't for Tim, we probably wouldn't be talking about this movie as much, and that is the truth. He's kind of like the Brad Dourif to the Chucky. He makes it so much more rememberable because of what he's done. So, yeah, he's up here. He's great. He makes the movie what it is, along with the supporting cast, because let's be real, he's the lead at this point. And they do some better things when it comes to it from the book. Some of it, not all of it. But yeah, we're gonna leave it there. Oh, have you ever seen the made-for-TV miniseries, The Shining? That one Stephen King was behind because it made it more like the book, and it was fucking awful. S tier. Not even a thought. That is S tier. It's Jacob's Ladder, original Jacob's Ladder. Let me clarify that. Original Jacob's Ladder. There was a remake. I have seen it, and I wish I could get that time back. Yeah, I own the King series on DVD. It's bad. I remember watching it before, but it's bad. So Jacob's Ladder, S tier. Mind trippy, creepy bullshit. A statement on the troops being subjected to Agent Orange back in Vietnam. A lot of high-end actors, of course, Tim Robbins, Ron Perlman, a few others that I can't think of right now because my brain's gone. Big inspiration for Silent Hill. So if you're a Silent Hill fan for the game, there is a lot of inspiration that they pulled from this particular movie. Also some iconic lines, with the whole speech from the doctor towards the end about, for some people, when you die, the ones that come for you look like angels, others, don't. It's a whole thing, and it is a little. I tear up. I'm not gonna lie. I tear up when that whole speech is going on because it's impactful. It really is. So I recommend watching 100% because one is it is spoofed a lot. Two, there's just certain things throughout it that you'll see kind of through other media, that kind of stuff. Again, if you're a Silent Hill person, this is one of the inspirations behind it, behind a lot of stuff. So, good movie, has a message. I would say you do have to be in the right frame of mind. Do not watch the remake. Jaws. S tier. Early horror movie. I watched it when I was young. TBS used to show it all the time. Speaking of TBS, did you know Ted Turner died this week? I think it was on Tuesday. I didn't even know the motherfucker was still alive, to be honest with you. I know he had some sort of form of dementia or something and kind of faded away, but I didn't know he was still alive. And then I saw that and I'm like, holy shit balls. All I'm asking for, can someone release the Captain Planet series? Like, available on Blu-ray or something? I will own that shit. But yes, Jaws was considered the first blockbuster movie. Made people afraid for their lives in the water. Like, there are legit people who would not get in a bathtub after seeing this movie. Now, my brain can't fathom that. I remember watching it, I was like 5-ish, maybe. It's such a young, it was a really, one of my early memories. And I remember TBS used to, on their 4th of July weekend, they always did like movie marathons. I talked about this on another stream, but obviously we're here now. And routinely they would show Jaws, Poltergeist, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and a movie called Dark Knight of the Scarecrow. These were 4 that I could rely on showing pretty much routinely. And I was allowed to watch them. But the first time I ever watched Jaws, it was just on. It wasn't like somebody flipped it over. It was just on. The TV had just been on all day. And I had a paper plate with a hot dog and some chips, some plain Lay's potato chips. And it was the scene where the mayor's being interviewed right before the big attack. And I sat down with my hot dog and my chips and I watched that. My dad walked in and had a hissy. Like, he was freaking out because he's like, she's gonna have nightmares. She's not gonna. And my mom's like, just let her watch it. She'll be fine. Because at that point, I was being taught, hey, movies aren't real. You don't need to worry about it. So I just sat there and ate my hot dog with. I didn't like mustard as a really young kid. Again, I was like 5, so don't you judge me. And my hot dog only had ketchup on it. Went to see nice, very nice. So at that point, Jaws became a regular rotation movie for me. Like I said, every time TBS did their movie marathons, it was usually a part of that. So I would watch it. Again, Poltergeist was another one that would come on pretty frequently. As well as Poltergeist 3. I don't like Poltergeist 3. The second one never used to come on TV except like once in a blue moon. And I would make sure to catch it too, because like I said, you never got to see it very much. Bizarre. Anywho, back to Jaws. I do recommend, if you haven't, to read the book or audiobook for it. The movie's great, don't get me wrong. And I will always love the movie, but the book has some interesting depth to it when it comes to our characters. As an example, do I spoiler this? I'll spoiler this. I'm going to spoiler the book, y'all. I'm sorry. So as an example, Brody's wife is having an affair with Hooper, Richard Dreyfuss's character in the book. Like, she's bored. Her husband, Brody's always gone doing, cop things. And Hooper comes around, and it was something like she went to school with Hooper and his brother because they're from the island as well, and that's where she grew up. So she knew the brother and sort of knew Hooper, but Hooper had a crush on her. They, have a moment, and then she winds up going to go meet him at like a hotel. It's a whole thing. Also, and part of the reason that's behind that is you're not supposed to really like Hooper. Hooper's kind of a dick. So towards the end of the book, Hooper actually gets eaten. Hello, I bark for big booty women. How you do? So in the book, Hooper is eaten. He doesn't survive like he does in the movie. They changed that because, of course, Richard Dreyfuss tested well for screening. So they wanted to keep him around. And whatever. I'm fine with the end of the movie, and I'm fine with the end of the book. They're their own separate things. It's fine. But I do recommend, if you really want to get some more information and a lot of interesting stuff about why things are happening, the book, the mayor has an alternative, like an ulterior motive, in that he owes money to the mob, and that's why he's not closing the beach. So he doesn't get his ankles broken or whatever the hell was going to happen to him. Like, there's a lot of things that they couldn't put in the movie that are really weird and intertwining pieces that kind of come together. And it's a good read. It's a good read. I'm doing good. Been going on for about 4 hours now, just talking and ranking horror movies that I know of and have seen. So, yeah, Jaws is going to be up there. And it made Spielberg. Without that, we don't get a lot of other stuff, I feel like, too. So this is another one where I feel like it has to be up here because it made lots of other things possible. And that's a big deal. Let's see. Jeepers Creepers, the first one. Not great. Not a good monster. Nah, we're not gonna talk about the other stuff. There's other stuff that goes into that, but it's just not a great horror movie in general to me. So we're gonna leave it down here. A lot of I remember when it came out, a lot of people my age were very much into it. I don't know why. But yeah, there we go. Haven't seen Joyride. I haven't seen Last Night in Soho. I've heard mixed reviews on that one. Some people really liked it, some people really hated it. We're gonna leave it there since I haven't watched it. Leprechaun. Oh, Jesus. This is another one of those movies that knew what the fuck it was doing. It was horror, but it was horror that wasn't taking itself seriously. We've got Warwick Davis, aka Wicket the Ewok, aka Willow. Yes, Wicket the Ewok comes before Willow in my book. I had a Pomeranian, his name was Wicket for that reason. So he's cracking wise, making jokes, leprechaun puns. It's got a very young Jennifer Aniston in it. Oddly enough. I did, as a young person, have a lot of his rhymes and limericks written down because I thought they were hilarious. They're not, but they're punny. Y'all know me. I love a good pun. Warwick Davis was doing Warwick Davis things that he could. I'm going to put it kind of mid-B for right now. It's definitely one of those of its time movies. I can sit and watch it, and I can especially sit and watch it with Nub, and we can enjoy it for what it is, but I can see a lot of people who really probably wouldn't like this movie. But it is an interesting little slice of life showing, like, a very young Jennifer Aniston getting into movies right here. Very, very odd. The Lost Boys, vampire movie. I watched this, oh my god, so many years ago. It used to come on TV on FX a lot for some reason. It's a B movie. It's a vampire movie. A lot of people might put that higher, but I didn't like it as much as say Dusk Till Dawn. That to me is I like the feel of that vampire movie better. I don't know. I don't have a lot to say about it. Haven't seen Madhouse. There's The Mangler, but I haven't seen The Mangler. I'm guessing that might be one I need to look at because I saw somebody mention that earlier. But we can go to the next one. Misery is S tier. And she's gonna be a high S tier. We've got so much to do here. So it's another Stephen King adaptation. And they keep it pretty faithful to the book. There's one key change, and honestly, I feel like the movie having to make the change to what they did is so much more brutal than the book version. Yes, the hobbling scene in the movie is worse than the book. That is beyond crazy, right? But it does a good job. It really does. They catch as much as they can from the book, showing Annie doing what Annie does. They got a lot at that. And I saw the movie first before I read the book. And I think it was the audiobook. I don't think I actually read the book, but that's fine. I count audiobooks. So when I got, done with the book side of it, I was like, damn, that was actually pretty good. So here's the difference. And one, if you don't know what the hobbling scene is, oh boy. So in the book, the hobbling scene is a lot different, wherein she realizes that, I can't remember. I want to call him James Caan's character, but in the book, that's clearly not going to be the case. Uh, Paul Sheldon. There we go. Paul Sheldon's a writer, and he's finishing up a book. He goes up to a specific spot to write, and he's trying to leave, and there's a snowstorm. He crashes, and he's found by this woman named Annie Wilkes, who was a nurse at one point. So she's going to nurse him back to health because he was in really, really bad shape. Come to find out, she's his number one fan, right? And that goes to an extreme. And she's a very specific fan of a book series of his that centers around a character named Misery. What's her name? Misery Plantain something? Chastain. There we go. I'm like, I've got notes. Chastain. So he was finishing up the last book of the series, which nobody knew that was going to happen yet. But she rescues him. She's going to nurse him back to health. And it goes wrong. She does wind up reading the manuscript. Misery winds up dying. She's upset. She wants him to rewrite it. She's holding him hostage, essentially. And at some point, he gets the gumption. He gets well enough that he wants to try to escape. And she's wackadoodle. And she uses some really funny words, and I love it. She has like hair traps set up so like if he tries to open a door or something, she has a piece of hair that'll break or fall off. And this happens. So she explains like when people caught their involuntary workers, uh, basically their slaves trying to escape, that they would hobble them. But they still needed to be able to work, so they would only do one foot. And basically in the book, it's a matter of cutting the foot off and cauterizing it. So the foot's gone. That's pretty gnarly, right? That she was cutting it and cauterizing it at the same time with a blowtorch. It is described in detail. In the movie, she takes a wedge of wood and puts it between his ankles, takes a sledgehammer and slams each of his feet inward to break his ankles. It's bad. Like, you hear the crunch. And James Caan does a wonderful acting job, of course. And he was one of the few main men actors who was willing to take a back seat to Kathy Bates, because obviously Annie is your main character. And I do respect him for that, because he was a well-renowned actor at that point. And they had tapped a bunch of other people, but nobody wanted to give up the lead and just be in a bed while she did everything. So always big kudos to him for doing that, because my God, that woman. Hey, Just Jake. Oh, very nice. So, yeah. uh, Kathy Bates makes this movie 100%. And God bless that we got her unleashed onto the world, because she's amazing. I love everything I've seen her in. She's just so good. She's half the reason I kept watching American Horror Story at times. I just love her. Um, so yeah, this stays high into story. And I do recommend watching it if you haven't. And do read or get the audiobook for it, because I promise you it's interesting to have that part of it, because it really delves into a lot more about Annie and who she was. You see a little bit of it in like pictures and articles that Paul looks through when he leaves the room. The book's got a lot more, and you find out so much more about just what the fuck is wrong with this woman. So very much recommend book and movie, and do keep them separate if you can, because there are definitely some differences. The Mist. Um, yeah, yeah, another one. You know what? There's worse ways to gain a name. That's for sure. Um, Mist is very bleak. I just gonna leave it at that. The Mist is very bleak. Worth a watch for sure. What would kind of like what happens with people when it seems like the end times are near and you don't know what the fuck is happening. It's a really good microcosm of the breakdown of humanity, all within a store. And that's just, that's just the people portion, not talking about the monsters. The monsters for it, all of that is literally set dressing. It is a human's tale, like 100%. Like I said, it is a microscope put onto the human race as a whole and breaks down what would happen in an end of the world type situation. And it's not pretty. Is it wrong? No. No. So, bleak movie, good movie, definitely worth the watch. Let's see. Mother's Day, haven't watched. Karloff's Mummy. Again, most of these are gonna wind up here somewhere, just because of what they are. The Mummy, especially. Again, Karloff was apparently one of the ones that just got lucky with all his horror. We know his Frankenstein, we know his Mummy. So, it just gets the B treatment. My Bloody Valentine. Oddly enough, I have not watched either the original or the remake, so I can't really speak on that. Do I do I qualify as a horror lover if I don't watch some of these? Whatever. Oculus. Oculus. High B. I don't think I can put it into A status. It is a Mike Flanagan film. I can appreciate what Mike Flanagan does, but Mike Flanagan has a very distinct pattern to his stuff. It's interesting. I do like the premise behind it. With this particular mirror being essentially possessed, and what's possessing it. Yes, that is something about it too. It was backed by WWE. There's nothing WWE about it, but for some reason the hands are in it. You had to figure that one out. So I don't know why it had their backing, but it's a spooky little film. And I guess from that, because this was kind of like his first big hit, if you watch anything else from Mike Flanagan, you can usually find that mirror, or at least a portion of that mirror hidden somewhere in scenes. It is part of the headboard in Gerald's Game on the Netflix movie that he did. You can also see the mirror itself in the Haunting of Hill House series. It's just in the background somewhere. He likes to throw this thing in because this was kind of like his flagship that got him really known, which is fine. It's just one of those little things that you can watch out for. But it's a solid movie. I wouldn't say it breaks any boundaries, anything like that. It does a good job fucking with your mind. Haunting of Hill House was really good. I did really like that series. That's another one of those things that when I watched it, it made a few things click in my brain. I'm like, ooh, okay. Must take care of something, But yes, that was a good series. But I think that's where we're gonna put it. If this hadn't taken off like it had, I don't think we would have gotten later Flanagan stuff. I probably could have done without Dr. Sleep, to be honest. I couldn't even finish that book. That book went on way too long. But a lot of his other stuff, I'm glad we have it. For sure. The original Omen. S tier. Again. I'm glad to put it there. Made the name Damien very much a no-no name. Don't name your child Damien. That's a no-no name. Gregory Peck, great performance. The overall mood of the movie, tone of the movie, kind of, I would call it like somber horror. in a way. The child who plays Damien, creepy as fuck. The baboon scene, that was real. They had a female no, a baby baboon in the car, and they just filmed the baboons going fucking apeshit. But it's a good scene. The decapitation scene, very well done, good practical effect. So Ullman also wound up doing a lot of spawning of spin-offs and parodies, things like that. Got some sequels that were okay-ish. Remake. It's not really a remake. It was like a prequel. I think that's on a list somewhere actually. We'll talk if it is, we'll talk about it later. But the prequel is okay. It didn't need to exist, but it was okay. But I would say it's an S tier. It has a lot of impact across horror for sure. Uh um like the premise of it, no, but I think some of the imagery of it, especially if you're maybe in an altered state of mind, probably could be horrific. And I think that's how I would look at that. Yeah, it was almost the same. Yep. That's what I'm saying. It has some like beat for beat redos that made no sense. It had that that prequel had that one scene. It was kind of like an homage to the possession. Ugh, I didn't like that at all. But the first one definitely worth it. Orphan. Hmm. This is a teeter. I can't tell if I want to do a low A or a high B on it, to be honest. It's an interesting concept, and I believe it is roughly based around an actual thing that happened in Russia. I think that's right, or somewhere around that area. But essentially, adult acts like child, gets adopted by parents, and this horrific shit. I know it just got a sequel not too long ago. I haven't seen it yet. Or a prequel, rather. Yeah, that was it. I mean, it's good. I'd probably put it ahead of Cabin in the Woods, but I think it's still a B movie. The actress does a great job, but eh, it's a little weird. A little weird, but it's okay. The Others. That's a ghost story. It's a B movie. It's probably a lower B movie. It's a little slow, even for me. I like a good slow burn, but it's a little too slow at some points. But essentially, mother has two kids. She's overly protective. They can't be in sunlight because they have really sensitive skin. And all this is happening, and then like things in the house are being moved, and they don't know who's doing it. They can't see who's doing it. And then twist of twist, they wind up being dead and they're ghosts, which is, explains a lot of what's happening. And then eventually a medium shows up. That's how they figure out they're ghosts and they go away, if I remember right. It's been several years since I watched it, but it's basically a giant ghost story. If it had a little bit better pacing, I probably would put it higher in B list. I don't think it would be A. But it's slower than it needs to be to get to where we go. The original Paranormal Activity. The one that started the phenomenon. So we had Blair Witch, and we had a small kind of uprising at that point of some found footage, but not really anything. Then Paranormal Activity hit, and my God, did it caused that genre to just explode at that point, especially with ghost stuff. Um, it's not particularly a good movie. It was done really well on a very low budget, which set a precedent, which, dear Jesus help us. I mean, it has the one part that I really liked. Like, the whole movie's fine. There's one part that I always talk about that when I first watched it, I really, really liked it. I mean, I do too. I love found footage, but it's not the top tier version of found footage, you know? But the one scene I always point to that I was like, this was so well done, and it made me stop, is it's one of the times she gets out of bed and she's standing there just kind of swaying a little bit, watching Mika, Mika sleep. And she walks off, and then it's such a slight delay. Or the shadow walks off after her. It stays there for just enough, and it you catch it, but it's done in a subtle way where you may not actually know that you caught it. And I was like, that's so subtle and it's unnerving because it is so subtle. I really like that. That's about all the parts I like can remember going, that was cool. The rest of it was just kind of meh. But it did open that pathway for a lot of other horror, found footage horror. I do still go back and watch it periodically. I don't know why. I just do. I don't care much about the sequels, but I'll watch the first one. It's background noise. Made you paranoid. That's fair. That's fair. You see the end? No. Well, no, yes, I have. I take it back. Yes, I have. It's been a while, but yeah, I've got special features or whatever. None of them really seemed any more appropriate than the others. Like, sometimes that happens. We're like, ooh, this one really was good. Kind of like with 1408 that I talked about earlier. That one, I remember watching it, I'm like, you know what? I'm good with the one they gave us. It's fine. It seems as good of an ending as any other that they could have given us. So, Prince of Darkness, I haven't watched all the way through. I know I've started it a few times and usually get distracted. Haven't seen Prom Night. So have to leave that one here. Psycho. The OG Psycho. I don't know if it is it S tier? I think it has to be, right? It has to be at least low S tier. Again, this is one that gave us a lot. We were talking about Deep Blue Sea earlier, where we have, the Samuel L. Jackson character who is geared up to be the main character of this movie, obviously, and then you hit like the halfway point and he done got ate by the shark, right? That very much is because of this movie. Psycho does that same thing where Janet Leigh's character is murdered halfway through. And as a matter of fact, because of that, since she is top billed, it Alfred Hitchcock with the movie had instructions that nobody was allowed to enter the movie after a certain point because if they came in, they would no longer see her in the movie. She was gone. And he didn't want to be held accountable because, oh, she's advertised for being in the movie and then they don't see her because they waited too damn late. So that was the thing. I mean, clearly, there's so many lines that we know. Uh, Anthony Perkins, God, I had to think about that because we've been watching more Osgood Perkins stuff lately. Anthony Perkins, great, great actor. That soft spokenness about him kind of gave it a creep factor. The big twist at the end, mom being dead, him being dressed as mom and imitating mom. So much of that has been used and reused and rehashed through so many different things. The iconic music in the shower. I mean, that's just your standard horror thing, right? You hear that everywhere. It had a profound effect on the horror movie genre and references and stuff, so I feel like it deserves S tier in general, and it is one of Alfred Hitchcock's best movies. for sure to me. Also, you get the scandalous toilet shot and a scandalous belly button shot. There's a lot of weird things. Wasn't this the movie that was like the first one to have a toilet flush? Something like that. Something bizarre. Why not? Right? So we're gonna go with that. Pumpkinhead. Oh boy, this might be a controversial one. I don't know if everybody even knows who Pumpkinhead is. No, admittedly, I've only seen the first two. There are 3 and 4, and I own them. I just haven't watched them yet. They were hard to get. But the first one, I actually saw the second one first, to be completely honest. I owned it on VHS. But I do remember actually seeing the first one. Got some Lance Henriksen in it. I like Lance Henriksen. That's Admiral Hackett for Mass Effect. And not only enough, I mentioned I like Hell World. That's one of the few sequels from Hellraiser after the second one that I actually like to watch. He's in that one too. I like Lance Henriksen. What can I say? But this is basically raise a creature for revenge. The creature very much inspired by the alien from Alien, if you look at it. But Pumpkinhead is still his own thing. Is he as well known as, say, Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger? No, he's not. But I love him, and I like the movie. It'll be a high B because it does have some some weirdness and some dead time when it comes to everything. But it's gonna be pretty good. It's teetering that line between A and B for me. That he did. And that was a big deal because he couldn't do the special effects for it, so he had to leave it up to someone else, but he still got an amazing creature out of it. So it's worth the watch, I think. And again, it's got Lance Henriksen doing really good performance as well. So good creature film. The Purge. I know a lot of people like the Purge movies. It's C tier for me. It's a high C, but I get it. I've watched it. I haven't seen all the sequels. I think I own most of them though. I get the premise behind it, but at the same time, I'm just kind of like, okay. It's violence for violence sake. Gotcha. And that's not necessarily a thing that I really look for in movies. But we'll go with that. It's fine. The original Saw. The original Saw with the reverse bear trap. Again, not necessarily where I'm placing it, but just so we can see it a little bit better. This is one that I'm going to be torn. Do we want to go with a high A or a low S? I don't think it's a high S, for sure. It was kind of new. It gave us something different. We hadn't really seen this thing before. Like the idea that, there's a killer who doesn't kill themselves, not unheard of. I mean, we had that in real life with Manson. He didn't actually do anything. He just had other people do it, right? And in this situation, it was a guy who was punishing people for not living their lives the way they, to their fullest, or for trying to cheat the system. It was a weird kind of. I don't know if I'd call it revenge, but an injustice was done and it had to be righted, and that's what was happening at this point. And at this point in time, the puzzles and all were kind of interesting. And it's kind of funny now to go back and watch, because if you watch the rest of the series, and I've watched all but I think the last one. And I know they're making another one. But for now, the last one as of as of being available right now. You can, it's easy to go back and be like, oh, well, this wouldn't have worked, so who actually made this trap? And you start playing that game. And then you gotta remember, they weren't even thinking that far ahead at this point, right? This was strictly going to be this thing that was made, and it wound up blowing the fuck up because it was different to see. And it had Carrie Ellis in it, and I'm always good with that. But anyway, so I feel like it definitely deserves at least somewhere on the spectrum. I just don't know, is it like a higher or lower? Yes, it always came, most of them, there's a couple of exceptions, but they tried to push for an October release to make it more Halloweeny. I think the first one does stand apart because it is the first one before it went really weird. And you had the twist, which I feel like it was a good twist. I didn't, me being me who predicts so many horror movies, I actually did not call the guy in the middle of the room not being dead. So I feel like it's going to be pretty high up here. And I do rewatch the first one. I do rewatch the first one pretty frequently. I have watched, like I said, I've watched through most of the sequels except for the most recent one, and some of them are hard for me to stomach because there's vomiting, but I have tried. I'm not as big on most of the sequels. We'll just go ahead and be like that, but the first one, good. Scanners. Haven't finished Scanners. I probably should. I know I've started it. I just haven't finished it. I haven't seen Scarecrows. Seems odd. Okay. The original Scream. What do you do with a movie that was made specifically to mock the state of the slasher film that then reinvigorated the whole idea behind it? And that's not what Wes Craven was going for. This was supposed to make a mockery and an end to the slasher situation because it had gotten so out of hand. They were so numerous and they were getting bad. And this was his answer to it, was to make fun of it. And then this took off. It's a good Wes Craven film. It feels like a Wes Craven film. It didn't do what he wanted, but by God, we appreciated it. It's going somewhere in A tier. Mainly because it didn't do what it set out to do. It failed in that regard. It just created a whole new branch of, of slasher films. Oh man. And then it gave us a whole bunch of comedy spin-offs. I don't know, but God bless it. My young soul appreciated the new metal. But yeah, we're gonna just leave that there for now. Serpent in the Rainbow. It's a B. We got some zombie stuff going on. It's actually a book. I need to read. I own the book. I just haven't read it yet. But it's kind of about the whole idea of zombies in Haiti, that kind of thing. Um, Zombies, quote unquote zombies, are considered real. They're not necessarily dead people. They're people who have been subjected to, I think it's blowfish poison, something like that. And it basically brainwashes them, and they're very malleable, essentially. Uh, I've seen that used in a few different iterations. There's a book co-writers who write a series around like a particular FBI agent. Last name is Pendergast. And one of the books I read a long time ago that features that is it features a zombie with the proper spelling of two I's instead of an E, and that's what's going on. So it's known, it's interesting, it's real on a level. I don't think it's as real as that, but it definitely has its things about it. Oh, Jesus Christ. Silent Hill. This is okay. I want to see what y'all think what's y'all's prediction? Where am I placing this movie? Because I'm interested to see what y'all think. Where you think I'm gonna place this movie? I'll give you it's not gonna be D tier. So not D tier. Because here's the thing, and myself, and Nub have talked about this on streams before, especially when we came back after watching the most recent one. We saw it in theaters opening weekend. Um, we appreciate bad movies, right? And there is definitely an aspect to the games that Christoph Gans does appreciate. That's why he recreates very specific camera angles, camera shots, things like that. You can see that there is that appreciation there. I also very much like Jodelle Ferland, Sharon. I felt, funny enough, I first found her not through any of the movies she did when she was little, but through Kingdom Hospital, which was an American adaptation of The Kingdom from Lars von Trier. King liked that and brought it over and turned it into a TV series. There were 2 seasons, I believe. I own it. I've had to buy it like twice, but I own it. I very much love the series, and she is a little ghost girl in it. Well, if you ever watch Gans talk about her, he saw her in the same series and loved her and wanted her in this. And I'm like, okay, well, at least I know you watched some good stuff there. I love the practical effects. There are some CG effects, obviously. But for the most part, we have people in costumes, in foam, in latex, that are contortionists who are doing actual things. I love that shit. You all see, this might be a detraction from it, but you can see Pyramid Head's ass in some shots because of how the costume's made. That's odd, but it exists, and you do actually see it if you know where to look. The janitor, I think, was a good thing, and actually, I believe it was Akira praised that. Basically said, this is cool. They would actually want it in a game, right? Never happened, but janitor, definitely interesting thing. Is also the same guy who plays Pyramid Head, if you must know. He's a choreographer for the film, I believe. So, yeah. It has a lot of positives for me going towards it. I can sit down and genuinely watch it and not get tired of it. I recognize its flaws as a Silent Hill movie from a game adaptation, for sure. It does have Sean Bean in a role that doesn't kill him. I like Sean Bean. I like Sean Bean since I saw him as Alec Trevelyan in GoldenEye. So for all of that, and of course, as mentioned with Cube, there is a actress in this that I found. So again, we got that little tie-in. So for me, we are gonna go probably not A tier. We're not A tiering. We're gonna go probably somewhere in here. It's a B tier movie. It's not super low, but it's not gonna be super high either. You know what I mean? Um, but I love a lot of the stuff about it that's in it. I like set pieces in it. It just needed some other writer. So for me, that's where it's gonna sit, but I'm also quirky and like weird things. So take that as you will. Haven't seen Silver Bullet. Have seen Sinister. And I'll be honest, I kind of got bored with Sinister. And I don't know if anybody else is going to be like that with me. It's okay. Like, the premise behind it's interesting. You know, you've got the Bagul, the Bagel, whatever. But I found myself kind of getting bored. I don't know why, but I got bored. Um, Maybe I was kind of past that whole thing at this point, but I can't say it's bad enough to go for C because it's not, at least for me. But it's also for me not high enough for me to put it beyond where it is. Like I said, I've actually sat through it twice, but I still can't tell you anything because I know I zone out halfway through. At some point, I just stop paying attention, but it's there. And I remember little like glimpses of scenes, or if there's a loud noise, I look up and I'm like, oh, things are happening, and I'll watch it and I go back to what I'm doing. So I think for some people, this is a really good horror movie. It does have those elements that are creepy and spooky for them, but it wasn't for me. The Sixth Sense. Again, I personally don't call this horror. I personally do not call this horror, but apparently it is. I will say it's A. There's a lot from it. I mean, it. I see dead people. Sorry, that is everywhere and parodied and everything. You know, I see X people or I see X. There's too much callback. Of course, this was the big what a twist. You know, like that's where this started was pretty much this movie where it had the twist at the end. And this is back when people appreciated it. It was something a little bit different, for the time. You didn't really have the twist. You just knew it was a horror. Everything bad's gonna happen. So having this at the time, it was at a good point where people talked about it, made it go essentially viral, and it made really good money because of that. Also, shout out to Donnie Wahlberg for losing so much weight to play the scrawny guy who actually shoots him at the beginning. Like, that's insane. And how insane is it? I didn't even know that was Donnie Wahlberg. It doesn't even look like him. It's craziness. But do recommend if you've never seen it. Highly recommend it. It's got Haley Joel Osment. Shame what's happened to him. But as a kid, if you played Kingdom Hearts, you'll recognize him as Sora's voice. And then he grew up, but his face didn't. That's terrible, but also true. But yeah, there's ghosts and stuff, so I guess technically it is horror, but I don't know. I don't qualify it as horror. That's me. It's more just suspenseful, as far as I'm concerned. Haven't seen Sleepwalkers, haven't seen Stage Ghost. What the fuck is that? What the fuck is even in it? I don't want to know. That looks terrible, actually. Stakeland haven't seen. I actually haven't seen The Stand. I know it's a Stephen King thing, but not one that I particularly care about. The Strangers. Ooh, The Strangers. Is it A level? It's a really hard-hitting creepiness. I'm not going to necessarily place it here, but I just want us to be able to see it better. So, this is kind of a big fear for a lot of folks, right? People in masks, for one, and then people in masks in your home, for two. And I know it's like supposedly the director based it on a dream he had, if I remember right, which I mean, hey, I have those weird freaky dreams too, but it's okay. I don't know if I've had anything quite like that, but I've definitely had some weird ones. Had one the other night. A demon dog managed to get into a room I had barricaded off with me and a bunch of people, and when I got in, nobody would make it leave, and I was freaking the fuck out. Like, you know, I have these weird ass dreams. I do think it hits on a very specific fear in people, and I do think that's part of the reason it did get notoriety. It's better than The Purge, for sure. So I'm gonna keep it kind of a low B, I think. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that I think that'll work for me. It could move up later, but for now, I feel like since I do actually watch this more, I feel like that's a better option. I haven't seen The Stepfather. I'm not sure if I want to, actually. The OG Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Ooh, do we is this a teeter? Is this a teeter between A and S? It does bring us Leatherface, and God knows we got Leatherface everywhere now. Quote unquote, based on a true story. No. Uh, I've heard about it. I've just never seen it. I'm not unfamiliar with it though. So, yeah, it's just one of those I haven't gotten around to seeing. Sometimes it's just a matter of if I'm scrolling through a streaming service and see something. Sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, I've heard of this. I'll just throw it on. That's how a lot of stuff happens, but I haven't necessarily seen it pop up, which means I won't care. For now, I'm just gonna put it A. So who will survive and what will be left of them? The original Texas Chainsaw. This is one of those where the first one is fine. The second one, though, ooh, it's one of those where I feel like if it maybe hadn't gotten the sequel that it did, I don't know if it would have taken off. Now, granted, I don't know about the new ones that have popped up because of it. Because let's be frank, some of them are terrible. Um, the one that was on Netflix, actually, I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed that one for what it was. And there's just one scene where Leatherface has his head popped out of a field of sunflowers, and that image just always tickles the fuck out of me. I love that. It's adorable. So, yeah, the original I think will be an A for sure. I'm gonna put it a little bit higher A. I don't think it's actually, you know what? I think I'm gonna put it above this one for now. For sure. Let me see if I can do this. Yeah, hold on. Because if you've never seen the remake, and I'm sure a lot of people haven't, and it's pretty bad, don't get me wrong. It's bad, for sure. But I feel like, at least in this moment, This made the whole thing worthwhile for me. Let's see if I can get it pulled up here. I'm so good at this. Yeah, so if that is not the most adorable fucking thing ever, I don't know what is. I love it. Just, oh, in the field. He's just there. And that made it for me. I loved it. But we wouldn't get that if we didn't have the first one, right? There's a couple of them the one is it a yeah, one of the remakes was it 2007, 2008. One of them, I can't. I've fallen asleep twice on it too. But we're not talking about that one. It's terrible. But for this one, we're gonna keep it at a good solid A, but it is gonna be ahead of Friday the 13th, I think. Just because of some key things with it. One, your killer's actually your killer. He persists. Even though there are some changes to the family and things of that nature throughout the series, so it's kind of weird. You still overall you have Leatherface, you got Bubba and his chainsaw, so he's consistent. Um, well, this is S tier. Not even gonna talk about it, and this is gonna be like high S tier for me. Like this is a cream of the crop S tier. I adore this movie. The practical effects, gorgeous. The dog, the chest bursting open. You got Kurt Russell with his beautiful fucking hair. You got Keith David. I almost said Papa Anderson, but you got Keith David in it. Kind of like his bigger kind of movie debut. John Carpenter giving him that go. You got Wilford Brimley in it. You got a hell of a cast. You're in a bleak. You're in a very very bleak like place, just cold and snow. It's very claustrophobic. But this movie is a remake. And I'm not disillusioned, to think that it's not. It is 100% a remake, but it is one hell of a remake. This is one of those where I'm like, this is acceptable. This is how you need to do it. Yeah, and there is a PS2 game that is supposed to be kind of a continuation of the movie, and then there's The Thing 2011. I do not recommend watching. I have done so, and I would like that time back, but I shall never get that time back. And then I wound up having to watch it again. I have actually had to watch it twice. And I hate that for myself. There was no point in the 2011 version. It didn't need to exist. But the first one, absolutely amazing. Of course, it gets the much misparodied, by the way. So the shot where the things pull the head off the one character, right? And then it grows little leggies and antennae and starts to leave while the rest of its body burns. And everybody hears it tap, 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 tapping, and they all turn to look at it. This is so misquoted slash misparodied, it's not even funny. Almost all of them will parody that's trying to spoof it will be, you gotta be fucking kidding me. That is not the line. If you watch, he goes, you gotta be fucking kidding. He does not say me. I don't know where the me came in, but for some reason it has stuck, and it's in a bunch of them. It's in a bunch of those parodies, and I don't get it. But big scene, definitely one that a lot of people know, without question. Kurt Russell in his outfit with his hat is pretty easily recognizable. And a lot of the practical effect monsters, when people see them, they're very, very much able to kind of be like, oh yeah, it's from that movie. You know. It is pretty much borderline masterpiece for me. Not not to be sounding hyperbolic or anything, but I feel like it is as close to perfect for me as a horror movie could get. I love it. And I love watching it too when you go back after you learn everything so that you can start picking up when did somebody get infected. Because you actually can start pinpointing that type of thing. Right, and every time you watch it, shit, even knowing the practical effect with the blood thing, it's hard to tell, even when you know to watch for it. So for that one, when Kurt Russell is holding the Petri dishes, there's the one that when they touch the heat, it goes whoosh, right? That's a fake hand holding the Petri dish, so a real hand can like jab up through it and look like, the blood is reacting. But they do such a good job masking it because they set that shot up before the actual effect happens so that you're sitting on that same shot of the hand, and for a while there it is actually Kurt Russell's hand, but they've already set your expectation. This is just Kurt Russell's hand. He holds it the same way, everything. So then when they finally cut to the one that's going to react, you're not picking up that this is not a real hand anymore. It's brilliant. And then for like the scene where they're doing they're gonna do the shock paddles on the one guy, right? The one that's chest opens up. It's not even like half a second of a shot. You have to be very good at the pause. But they hired a man who was missing from his elbow down on both of his arms. They hired a man like that to play for that split second the guy who had his arms bit off. That's how much they were trying to keep this, as realistic as they could. They were trying to use every practical effect they could come up with because one, budget, and mainly just budget. And it's crazy. You get not many frames of this thing, of this reaction, fighting the guy, and he pulls back and the arms are gone. And then they cut to the actual, actor reacting like his arms are gone. It's insanity how good it is. So, yes, almost near perfect horror movie, in my opinion. It goes at the top of S. 100%. 13 Ghosts. Again, I'm not necessarily placing it here. I just want us to be able to see it better. So, 13 Ghosts. I know a lot of people around my age have a big soft spot for this particular movie. Admittedly, I did not watch this movie for the first time until last year, I believe. So I'm probably going to hold a different opinion to everybody else. So this is the Matthew Lillard film. This is the one that he's in with Tony Shalhoub. The premise behind it's interesting. A lot of people, I mean, obviously the talk is of the ghost, and then like a TV series supposed to be done at some point. Like each episode's going to be focused around each of the ghosts or some shit like that. The effects are fine. Like the ghosts actually look pretty decent. I feel like a lot of people my age saw this at a point where they were allowed to finally probably see these kind of things, and I think it was PG-13, so they could actually go to the theater and watch it, and it was kind of a big deal. It was not a big deal to me. And I feel like some people would have that nostalgia kick, so it would be a pretty high listing. But to be perfectly honest, it's not, it's really not as good as you might remember. Like I said, I watched it for the first time last year and I'm like, oh, okay, this is happening. Oh, that's cool looking. But it wasn't, I wasn't, a gasp of anything that was happening or whatnot, nor did it throw any curveballs per se. It was neat to look at. It did some tropey shit, obviously, because that was the time. So I would probably say it's going to be a little bit higher on B, but it's not going to be a super high B. And I'm willing to bet there's people that would probably have it in at least their A list, but for me, that ain't gonna work. I said it's an interesting movie. Characters do well. The ghosts look interesting. I wish we. Yeah, exactly. I feel like that's gonna be the case. Because I remember everybody's like, oh, the 13 Ghosts. Oh my God, it's so scary. Blah, blah, blah. Again, didn't watch it. Watched it, I think, for the first time. I think it was last year. And I just was like, oh, that's what this was about. Like I said, I get it. When you're younger with those ghosts, those were pretty freaky looking. It might have been like a lot of people's first real dig into that type of like look for horror and probably would have made a big impression. And that's fair, Yosh. But yeah, I think it's a solid B. It's not a bad movie. It can be on in the background. That's fine, but I won't necessarily pay as much attention to it now that I've seen it once, you know. The Town That Dreaded Sundown. I actually haven't watched it. I need to watch this. I keep going to it and I never do. I know I should. So both of these are on my list for sure. Twilight Zone the movie. Oh, Jesus criminy. So, of course, there was the Twilight Zone series, the black and white series. And then they decided to make a movie, which would have been a 3-movie anthology, shorter movie type things, but longer than the TV, like a TV episode. I mean, it's Twilight Zone, but to me, the format for Twilight Zone needs to be TV episode length. Then you got to get into the big fucking controversy that is basically all people know the Twilight Zone, the movie, for. And that is having a major, major accident on set wherein a helicopter wound up falling on the lead actor and 2 children who were hired illegally. And I believe it decapitated him and killed the kids. It was a whole mess. Um, but yeah, they were not working correctly with the children. Like there was a lot of shady shit going on to get that segment taken care of. The moment is on film, by the way. It's not cut. Now you obviously don't see the deaths, but you see a little bit of what happens with the chopper. But yeah, it was a whole fiasco. Uh and then on top of that, it's really not solid Twilight Zone material to me. It's a D. And I'm gonna go ahead and say it's probably right in the middle of these two. I would much rather just sit and watch the TV series. I love the TV series. I own it on Blu-ray. I own the entire TV series of the Twilight Zone, the OG, on Blu-ray. Whenever Sci-Fi Channel would show their marathon on 4th of July and New Year's, I was there. Love it, but not the movie. Sorry. And then when you throw in the John Landis bullshit with that portion, because that was his portion where all that happened, he wasn't exactly like forthwith with all the apologies. Like, it was just a hot mess. Yeah, leaving it there. It's D. It's D. Unfriended. This was that weird. It's like found footage, but it's all done through a computer. There was unfriended and then friend request, I believe, and I've watched both of them, and I always get them confused. Um, I know I've watched them both. I gotta remember which one was unfriended. Unfriended. Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, okay, that's the dead classmate talking to all of them through Skype. Y'all remember Skype? You'll remember it if you watch this film. Eh. It's a C. It's a borderline B, C, I think, but I don't know. It's very of its time for sure. Obviously, with the Skype reference, sounds, the looks, and everything. Honestly, it's very tropey. But it did, kind of open up some of that pathway from doing your standard found footage film through like a handheld camera to doing it via a webcam with each of your people looking directly at it and then, conversing over a program like Skype. And VH is an anthology, yeah. I know they touched on it, but this was like one of these, and then there was Friend Request that also is a similar type of situation dealing with like online crap. This was the big era of creepy online shit. So that there was a big influx of that for a while where it was internet horror where when you're online on, Skype or these other programs where you can communicate, creepy shit be happening, yo. So again, a weird little slice of time where that was a thing. And then it went away. So we kind of got a resurgence of it in 2020 for obvious reasons, but for the most part, this was where it was more common, I think. Urban legend. See, this is the one I'm more familiar with. Let me bring it up here. Again, it's probably not going to stay here, but I want to look at it. So there's, as a matter of fact, you know what? Let's just look at this. Look at this shit. So Urban Legend's the one I knew better. I watched it more than I know you did last summer, but it's the same type of idea. Young kids, these are college kids. They all know each other. They're all taking a course about urban legends being led by the one and only Robert Englund. I would love if that was actually a college course, y'all. Do you know how happy my heart would be if that had been real? Man, I would have passed that class. Unfortunately, it's made up. But anyway, but yeah, it's a revenge horror movie. It's a little bit different than I Know What You Did Last Summer, but kind of that same idea. Young kids in college, something fucked up done happen, and revenge is being sought by somebody. You do have a few interesting people in this one. The main folks, let me take a look. There we go. So 1998. These late 90s movies, man. They all look alike. So you have Jared Leto, a very young one, as your lead. But it's not really them we're worried about. Also, Tara Reid's in it, by the way. She's another person. Go figure. But yeah, you have Robert Englund, who's the professor. You have Danielle Harris of Halloween fame. She's also in it. I'm trying to think. I feel like there was someone else. Brad Dourif, that's right. There is a cameo from Brad Dourif. So you have all these little cameos from people who are, known for other things. Uh oh yeah, the Julian Richings guy. He's another one. He's the one that's from Cube. That I'm like, he's in so much other shit that I didn't realize. That's one of them. Loretta Devine, another one. If you see her, you know who she is. She's in a bunch of stuff. So yeah, there's just so many little parts that, or whatever. And I think the reason as a young one that I really liked it because it had Robert Englund because we had that discussion earlier, right? Where I was like, I was just a big Robert Englund fan. As a matter of fact, they're probably not gonna ever put this movie on a list because it's just not one of the ones that you think about. He was in a Phantom of the Opera movie, not a musical, but they tried to kind of just make it more horror-y. Not really based on the book either, but it has time travel in it. Don't ask, I don't know. But Robert Englund's in it. He's the Phantom, and he does a lot of murdery stuff. But I love that movie because it's Robert Englund. It's cool. Anywho. But yeah, I would probably say because I'm more familiar with Urban Legend, it will go ahead of I Know What You Did Last Summer. Is it a particularly great movie? No. It's full of the tropes that you come to expect, especially for that late 90s time frame. And it's just in line with what you would have seen. Nothing spectacular, groundbreaking, anything like that. Us. For me, Us is going to be very much an S tier, I think. During this movie, I could not stop talking about the lead actress when she's in her other role, in her speech pattern. Like, that shit was creepy. Oh my God. I love it though. Um, the idea of having another side, another you, through the mirrors and shit. Oh God. But yeah, the lead actress, I could not praise her more for her job in the other role. I don't know what to call it, but the other, literally meaning the other. I very, very much love this movie. So, so good. So yeah, I Tethers, there we go. Thank you. If you haven't seen Us, I don't really want to spoil too much of it. This is another one where I'm like, I kind of want to refrain from talking too much about it because I really do recommend this one. And it's still new enough. I mean, I know it's not super new, but it's one of those that's more modern, which maybe not everyone would have seen at some point. So if you haven't, highly recommend it. It is a very, very good one. And then there's another more modern movie. I don't know if it's really horror. I call it a horror slash dark comedy. Hold on. It is. Okay, they do consider it horror. I doubt it's going to show up on a list, but The Menu, that is like a top 10 must watch film for me. I have watched that movie so much. I say it probably won't ever be on a list because I don't know how many people I should consider it horror. Yeah, Tyler's bullshit. It's so tongue in cheek. It's so good, and Ralph Fiennes is amazing. He definitely pulls off a very good chef. There is very much a Gordon Ramsay moment uh that he does. But that's another one I'm gonna say if you've never seen it. Also, I'm a big Anya Taylor-Joy fan. I don't know why I am. I saw her the first time I saw her was in The Vivitch, and I just really like her, especially in those kind of horror roles. I feel like she does a great job. And she was really good in this one too. But yeah, Tyler's bullshit. And that whole sequence with Tyler, if you know, you know, where um the what's his name? I don't want to just call it the actor's name because that's just rude. Like, I should respect the characters, right? Of course, everybody just says yes, chef. So I can't fucking remember his name. Slowick. That's it, Slowick. So, Chef Slowick's talking to him because he's like all into this, cooking shit, right? And is trying to like impress them. And he gives him the white jacket and, sloppily writes his name on there. And he keeps calling him a cook. And if you know, you don't want a chef calling you a cook. That's just not, nope. So that right there tells you everything. And then, all that happens. And then you get served Tyler's bullshit. And it's wonderful. So highly recommend watching that. It was actually partially shot in Georgia. I recognized the area when I saw it. I'm like, oh, I recognize where this is. So I do very much recommend that one. I will watch that one multiple times a year. It is one I love to put on, and I will just let it run, and I will be back and forth on it constantly because it's just that good of a movie. It's got a lot of people in there you might recognize. Of course, John Leguizamo's in there. Judith Light's in there, which if you don't remember her, she is the mom from Who's the Boss? That's the main thing I know her from. But hey, I know she's been in other stuff. That's the main thing I know her from. So yeah, I think it's a very interesting movie in a lot of different ways. It's a commentary kind of on Michelin star dining and things of that nature. And again, Anya Taylor Joy's character is gorgeous, and I like her in contrast to Tyler. God, Tyler's annoying. You would love to hate him. But yeah. So, got on a tangent there because it's something. But yeah. What was I in tangent on? Do y'all remember? Hell if I know. I don't remember. Oh, because we were talking about us. That's it. Sorry. Yeah, I'm glad he did too. I've seen the interview where she's like, "Yeah, I wanted to, make her, the strong woman that is going to react this way. She's not just going to sit there, you know, and take it. She's going to have a reaction." And then Holt, what's his name? Nicholas Holt didn't know she was going to jump over the table. So you actually see a real reaction from him. Like, "Oh my God." Oh, such good things. VHS, I've only seen bits and pieces of VHS. I'm not comfortable throwing it up because of that. Lon Chaney's Wolfman. Low Lobie. I was never a fan of the Wolfman movie, or movies rather. And again, Lon Chaney Jr. wasn't really my go-to for Universal monsters. That was Boris and Bela Lugosi. So he obviously deserves where he is because again, it gave us the Wolfman, it gave us werewolves, it gave us a lot, and it's Lon Chaney Jr. The man, like much like his father, who could do makeup beautifully, and it's a really interesting way that they did the transition for the werewolf in that movie, where it's all done with layered makeup and lighting. If you've never looked into that, you should. It's really interesting since it's black and white, but just not one of my favorites. Not one I go to a lot anyway. Um Wrong Turn. I haven't seen that one. Haven't seen Your Next. I have seen Zombieland. It's a fun time. It's a fun time. I'll probably put it'll be an A tier. I like Woody Harrelson. It's a fun zombie movie. I'm good with it. Make sure you do the double tap. But it's not something I've seen more than once though, and I haven't seen the sequel, but I do remember genuinely enjoying it. So I would put it in A, and I do feel like this did help bring a new set of eyes to zombie stuff because it's done in a different way. And then I actually haven't seen Zombie yet. It's Italian. There's a whole history behind the zombie name and how it was made and the series as a whole. It's a mess. It's that whole thing where United States gets one title when the title in the origin of country of origin is completely different and makes absolutely no fucking sense. And then we get it and it winds up, okay, well we did this one as the first one, but technically it's the second one. It's like the whole Final Fantasy shit over again, right? But I haven't actually seen this one, so we're gonna leave that alone. Again, it looks like it's about the same number out of the list of what I have seen or have seen all of versus not. Overall, I feel okay with most of this. Like I said, this is damn near perfection. This one I do want to this one. I don't watch it very much. And I'm not saying being low S tier is bad. It's just not one that I watch and go to a lot, but my God, the special effects are so good. Like that's really the main reason I like to watch it. It's the special effects more than anything. So that drops it down a little bit. So I feel this is probably pretty solid for me. Like, this one I don't watch a lot because again, you need to be in the right headspace for that movie. But it's weird and strange and amazing. This one yeah. We just kind of do our cosmic horror and then go from there. Pumpkinhead, yeah, B's gonna be pretty full. Your classics go there. Your big influences have a lot that go here because they're not, again, necessarily good movies, but they definitely had their role to play in a bigger, scheme of things that we have seen happen since then. So I think this will be pretty good. And again, you can argue with me if you like some of these down here. They're just not for me. Again, I fell asleep multiple times trying to watch this one. The only reason it ranks higher than others, even though I fell asleep, is one, I do remember it. And I mean, they tried. I like the idea behind it. I like some of the visuals in it that I saw. Just, I couldn't stay awake. I will probably put Anaconda up though, because it's it's stupid, but it's got its fun moments. And it's got J-Lo. Yeah, and these can go to hell. Honestly, some of these, if there was a different tier lower than this, it'd be on there. That's just me.